Welcome to everyone in the United States and around the world. This is Love, Truth, and Peace. I'm your host, Dr. Melida Harris Barrow, coming to you live from Miami. Welcome, and may God bless all of you today for tuning in to this show because we have a special guest today. Hello, my lovely. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, and I am going to introduce my special guest in a second because she is just, Loretta is just marvelous. I am just happy that she's on my show this evening because we have a lot to talk about. And one of the main things that we're going to be talking about is about what's happening in the world when we are going to be addressing so many things today. So Loretta Greene,
Hi, how are
Loretta
you?
Greene Williams, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Dr. Melly?
I am doing very good. And I want to let my audience know, thank you for tuning in. This show was created to equip nations and people with the knowledge and tools they need to improve, create, build, prosper, and change their environment so that they can effectively lead to a better future. Today's topic is about addressing Africans throughout the diaspora from pain to power. And this show, please, I want you to pass this information on to all of our brothers and sisters in the world at this time. Share this show. This show is, we're going to talk about Africa and the African diaspora, but we're going to break it down for you tonight. Miss Greene Williams is going to break
Yes.
it down for you tonight. And let's start.
All right.
Introduce yourself. Let them know who you are, please.
Okay. Well, I'm Loretta Greene Williams. I am of Jamaican lineage, JA all the way.
Yes.
I live here in Harlem, New York. I am the president of the Pan African Chamber of Commerce that is in South Africa. I am also the co-founder of Caribbean Me magazine. It's a cultural conscious magazine for Caribbean diaspora women. I am founder and manager for the Women of Concern Professionals and Strategic Conscious Networking, WOCPSEN. We are a community professional group of women helping to promote social economic sustainability through various components. And I am the mom of Dana Verde, filmmaker Dana Verde, and that's a few things I
Very
do.
nice. Very nice. Very nice for that introduction. I want to start off by talking about actually what's going on in Nigeria and around the world. What's really
Yeah.
going on with the diaspora, the African diaspora around the world. And when I mention the African diaspora, we have a tendency to kind of mix that up a little bit. And I want us to break that down because just recently, I would say about 2 years ago, I would say the African diaspora, and in my mind, it was about the transatlantic slave trade that was taking from Africa, our African people. But then when I started communicating with my brothers and sisters in Africa, when they mentioned the African diaspora, what they meant was the Africans from the continent abroad. So I want us to talk about that today, and I would like for you to break that down to us this evening. Let's start with the Africans from the continent and
Okay.
kind of break that down for us. Yes.
So the African Union has identified what the African diaspora is in regards to the social economic growth of their vision for 2030. An aspect of that is that it incorporates the African diaspora from the continent of Africa And then there's the "and" part that incorporates the rest of the diaspora people. So what becomes a little confusing and about that sometimes is that we of the African diaspora, does that really include us when we hear of the relationship of collectiveness of the African diaspora? Now, I base this conversation on Marcus Garvey. You know, he said Africa for Africans. And what he was looking at is the diaspora of the African people and its relationship to the continent. What is happening now, the continent is looking at the continent of the continent to the rest of the world. And sometimes that becomes a little confusing. But when we say the African diaspora, it has to include all of us that are of African lineage. Now, if all of us were to take a DNA, especially in the United States, there'd be a lot more Africans than we think
Yeah,
from a physicality perspective. So we got to look at that too. And
yeah,
then we're looking at ethnicities in regards to the diasporas.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, because honestly, I was confused, and but now recently I needed explanation more about that, and you put it very clear now, because a lot of people in the Caribbean, they're when they say African diaspora, they're talking about the transatlantic slave
Slave trade.
trade,
Yes.
and that everyone that in the Caribbean or in Latin America, that's what the definition for them is, because there were people that was displaced.
Yes.
That's the meaning of the diaspora. So I just wanted to clarify that before we move on, because it's important also that Africans from the continent understand that when they're speaking about the African diaspora, that we're all included in that mix.
Exactly.
Right?
And there's two levels.
And
Like you
there's two
said,
levels.
there's the transatlantic slave trade. We
Right.
were forced out of
Yes,
Africa into the
exactly.
Western Hemisphere. But then you have the push-pull theory. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I share with my African colleagues, that is the passport theory. If
Mm-hmm.
you had a passport, you could physically remove yourself from one location and go to another location. But that
Mm-hmm.
passport allowed you to go back to the original location.
Right.
We in the diaspora, and I'm gonna speak to the American of African lineage,
Mm-hmm.
only passport we have is the United States of America passport. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
So that what is your nationality then?
Mm-hmm.
American. Your
Mm-hmm.
races could be identified as African American, but your nationality is American based on your passport because it says U.S. American citizen. It doesn't
Okay.
say African American.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because I was born in Panama. I received a United States passport, but in the passport it still says Panamanian in the
Hmm.
African American passport. So basically, what you're saying is that my nationality now is American, okay, American Panamanian,
Hmm.
but when I'm home, I'm just Panamanian, period.
Exactly, exactly.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
that's because in 1990, when we were able to put the ethnicities based on nationalities on the census, that gave us an opportunity to claim not only our American identity, but our ethnicity, which would be identified as an ethnicity in America. But
mhm,
once you go home, whatever nation that is your nationality.
mhm. Now, unfortunate for African Americans that their only nationality is America, where if you are from Jamaica or from Panama, uh, we can obtain two passports, where a passport from Panama and a passport from the United States.
Yeah.
But African Americans cannot do that unless,
Unless, yeah, get
I
ready to
was
say
just
it.
going to
Yeah.
say, unless they denounce their citizenship from America to become a citizen somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's
Mhm.
really interesting because my daughter and I was having this conversation earlier today, and wealthier African Americans have been able to acquire that dual citizenship.
Mhm.
They've been able to claim a lineage in the continent of Africa. They've selected countries in Africa that they've identified as part of their lineage, and they still hold on to their lineage here in America, but that is very expensive. And most Americans of African ancestry probably we don't have the financial means of doing that. So
Yeah.
you're right, they would have to give up the citizenship to order
Yeah.
to claim that lineage.
Mhm.
My thing
Right.
is, what I would love to see is Americans across the board. I mean, we've given so much blood now, they can do this. Is to find out whose everybody DNA is. I'm just being nosy. I want to find out who everybody is. See, I already know I am 96.6% continent African.
Okay.
Comes from 4 areas in Africa,
Right.
4 countries in Africa. So I'm
Yeah.
cool. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would love to know some of these folks that's talking about, what they're talking about.
I know. I
Yeah.
know.
I love to see what your DNA say. I want to know what your grandparents was, what barn they
Yeah.
were in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And one
Yeah.
of the things I just want to encourage also Panamanians, and I can only speak for Panamanians because I've been through the process, that even though your son or daughter are born here in the United States, you can still go back to Panama and apply for their citizenship in Panama. So that is
Hmm.
possible also for them to have their Panamanian citizenship. So that's something also that a lot of Panamanians might not know, but you're able to go back to Panama and gain citizenship for your children. So
Mm-hmm.
that way they will have more than one passport, especially at a time like now. We
Mm.
are going to move on now to what's going on in Nigeria and the reason I brought all of this up is for a reason because there's a lot of people are thinking about moving back to Africa. There are people that
Mm-hmm.
are moving back home to their countries because of the situation that's happening really in the United States.
Yes.
And those of you that are moving back, let's say to Africa, and maybe you can answer this question for me. As a African diaspora from Panama, I am thinking, why is it that we need to get a passport, no, a visa, to go back to Africa when we were taking from Africa. So why do we need to get a visa? Why is it that the governments in Africa, why is it that we need to get a passport based on what you just said? The African diaspora from the transatlantic slave trade, should we really have to apply for citizenship, or should the governments of
Extended.
Africa should willingly accept us? Because it's
That
like we're coming back home. We were
that's an
taken by force. We should be coming back home. And the reason I'm saying that is for a bigger vision that I have. Because if we were allowed to come back home based on what we were just talking about Panama, even though I'm from Panama, I was able to get my citizenship in the United States. But when I go back to Panama, I'm at home.
mhm.
Why is it that can't be done in Africa?
When it comes to America, one of the things that's problematic is the first thing is we have to remember the transatlantic slave trade ended in the middle America, which is now the United States. It didn't start here. It was 140 years in the Caribbean and South America before it even started in the middle America.
Mhm,
It was one of the most brutal and the most crucial because there was direct rule of slavocratic system, which
mhm,
is very different from the Caribbean and parts of South America where it was a planocratic system.
mhm,
What that means, there were larger plantations, they were directed by overseers, not saying that the slavery wasn't any more subjective, not saying that. What I'm saying is there was less interference of daily life in planocratic system as it was in slavocratic system. within the slavocratic system. Remember, 1804, the United States decided no more slaves coming out of 1806, no more slaves coming out of Africa. Why? Because in 1804, Haiti wanted independence. They didn't want any more of them slaves coming into the States because they didn't want that battle. So what America started doing, and what is not discoursed, is they were having these farms that they were actually reproducing additional slaves. Okay, so just like they were breeding animals, they were breeding Black folk. And in that breeding process was the subjugation of removal and denial of self. Now, remember, in the Caribbean and in South America, you have pockets of African culture that was refurbished, renegotiated, replaced, but it existed. You found it. It was a while before American slaves could find that space. They kept it in small entities, but it wasn't until the realm as we did in South America and the Caribbean. Now, because of that, there was a loss of identity. The American Black had to go through 4 different realms of identity production in reference to names. This last name of African American stuck. We've been using that since 1979, 1980. But remember, African American is identifying to a continent, not a nation, not a country inside of Africa. So what becomes problematic is we as American Africans, a lot of us don't know where we are from.
But should we? I mean, come on. I'm thinking now, we don't know where we were from when we were taking. So why should we be penalized based on a country? It should be the whole continent, because we don't know, we don't have that information. So why should we be penalized because Africa is divided by countries? It shouldn't be.
Well, Africa should be divided by countries because before Europe came in, it was divided by ethnicities.
I'm not saying it shouldn't be divided. I'm saying during that time, why is it now that we cannot? It's almost like, yes, if I go home, I have to get a passport, I have to get this. Why is it that I feel that we're being penalized because we don't have the information where we were from? And even though the continent is divided by countries, why should we have to deal with that? We should be able to come back home and get a passport wherever you might want to go on a continent.
Because there's still nations within the continent.
Yes.
You still have nations within the continent. Listen, I cannot even go from here to Jamaica without a passport.
Yes.
And I'm Jamaican. I can't go to Canada without my passport.
But who created all of this?
Well, the dominant created it to help to subjugate and identify classes of people, and also to control borders. And it's a way of controlling borders. I think when it comes to the American going back to Africa, I like what Ghana has done.
I love what Ghana
they've
has done.
opened it up, but the thing that they've done is you got to study first. You can't just jump on in there. I love that concept, and I think that more nations in the continent of Africa will do that. Will there be a deconstruction of a visa process? Possibly. I can't really respond to that right now because I'm not sure what is happening on the ground. But right now, the way it is situated, let's face it, almost anywhere an American go needs a visa. We done screwed up really bad with COVID-19.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Things have changed. Now, the reason I was saying this is because I think at this time in our lives and what's happening in the world with our young people, with people of African descent, period, are being attacked worldwide. They are being murdered. Just so many things are happening. And this is not just people of African descent. These are the indigenous people of the world. They're also being attacked. Now, what if, and this is why I brought it up, as far as having our citizenship no matter where in Africa. If we decide to go to Kenya, I should be granted a citizenship. The reason being is what happened and what's been happening in Nigeria and the whole of Africa is the fact that governments are, for example, let's just talk about Nigeria for what happened yesterday. That was horrific. It was, and it's still happening at this present time. For those of you that don't know, you can check my Facebook, Melida Harris Barrow. I posted some pictures there. There's some videos I cannot even post because it's so horrific. And I am saying that our young people decided it's time to rise. It is time to rise. This is the first time in history all of our young people came out yesterday and they protested. For what? They protested for opportunities. They protested for better schools, for better hospitals. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with them protesting peacefully for these things. But guess what happened? Of course, the government decided to shoot them down. The government decided to do all of these things. But I want the government to know also that the world is watching. And the African diaspora, and I'm talking about the transatlantic slave trade and the Africans from the continent. It is time now for us to unite and for us to make sure that everything that is happening in Nigeria and on the continent to be exposed in the world. I think what's been happening in the past, Loretta, is the fact that because I'm of African descent, but I live in Panama, I don't want to worry about what's happening in Africa. You know what? We were not taught that we are of African descent. Because recently, everybody's saying Afro this, Afro Panamanian, Afro this. In the last 20, 30 years, you did not hear that. You see? So what I'm saying is the fact that what's happening in Nigeria, all of us, every single one of us, should be exposing the government of Nigeria.
Yes.
Should be exposing these pictures, all the things that's happening in Nigeria.
Yes.
Why? Because these young people cannot do it by themselves. They made this step to come out. It is our responsibility to help them, to guide them, and let the world know what is happening in Nigeria.
Exactly.
And
The other,
go ahead.
I'm really glad you spoke of that, because one of the things that is happening is the young people need the elders. We who have the experience, have gone through the battles, we've got to have their back. I share with my young people here when they talk to me, trust me, I would love to be out there and walk with you, but my arthritis ain't gonna let me, baby. I'm telling you, my hip is bad, but I love you. But what I can do is I can provide you with education and knowledge. I can let you know what we did that was successful and was not successful. I can be there to hold you, to share that knowledge with you, to comfort you when you need the comfort. That's what they need. They cannot feel that they're alone. Because when I was young out there on the battlefields, the elders had my back. And that was the key. We got to have the babies' backs. And I'm not calling them babies to be derogatory. I'm saying because they are younger. They're young enough to be my children and my grandchildren. Therefore, I got my babies' backs.
Yes. And I agree with you, because one of the things is that if we sit back and watch our children, if we sit back and watch our children die, if we just sit there and watch them die, what we were supposed to do, Loretta, years ago, to protect our children, we didn't do it.
Yes.
You know why? We were taught to go to college, come out and work for our oppressors.
Yes.
We were taught that. And today, our young people are saying, I don't want to do that. I want to be a businessman. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do this. I want to do this independently.
Yes.
And I'm not saying all of them, but there's a majority. There is an awakening. And my young people in Nigeria right now, they are awake. So the the horrible thing is that they're experiencing pain, and I can relate to
Yes.
that pain. I can relate to it. I
Mm.
saw a young man today in a video. They cut his foot off. I saw another one today. I don't know if they used a machete.
A machete.
And I
Yeah.
saw his brain on the floor. This is
Mm.
what's happening in Nigeria right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it. 24
Mm-hmm.
hour curfew. What is
Yeah.
happening in our own on the continent?
Yes.
You can sit here in America and say white people are doing this to black people. But in Africa, black people are doing this to our children. The
Yeah.
government are doing this to our children. It have to
Yeah.
stop. The
Yeah.
only way I believe that it will stop is based on us in the African diaspora.
To
Whether
rise up.
you are from the continent or
Mm-hmm.
whether you from the transatlantic slave trade. You understand? We have to come together here. Let me tell you why. The reason why is that you have received an education from your oppressor,
Mm-hmm.
an education that you can go back home and teach
Mm-hmm.
the young people. You understand?
Yes.
Not to oppress others, but to liberate the mindset.
Exactly.
Because one of the things that we failed at is God.
Mm.
God. People, listen to me. Sometimes you wonder why things are happening in your nation. They have changed
Mm-hmm.
our prayers in your schools. They have done
Mm-hmm.
every bit of thing in order for you not to be connected with God. This is
Yes.
the time now to ask God, guide you.
Yes. Give me wisdom.
Give me the wisdom and the knowledge and the
Mm-hmm.
understanding in order now for me to help my brothers and sisters
Yes.
in Africa.
Yes.
Because this is not about you. This is about us.
Yes.
Loretta,
Yes. Yeah. That's real. That's real talk.
this is
That's real
about
talk.
us.
And
This
the
is
thing
about us.
is, you have to stand on your faith and believe that God is going to bring you through. And I think this
Yes,
is one of the things. I'm going to tell you what breaks my heart the most. I grew up in an era where the church was always in the forefront of doing the work. That's what I'm accustomed to. And that the fact that some of our churches are doing it, but we're not doing it collectively.
here you go.
And that is the problem because there was a
Yes,
collectivism that happened that we were able to move forward in that we're not able to do now. And I
yes,
don't know if they're afraid of losing money or they're afraid of losing members. But the thing that bothers me is you are losing souls.
yes,
And
yes,
now
yes,
I'm
yes,
calling you out now. I'm calling you out. You know
yes,
I ain't scared. Listen, I tell folks, the red in my veins, it ain't Kool-Aid.
yes,
It's the blood. It ain't any blood. It's
yes,
the blood.
yes,
So I ain't scared.
yes.
All right. So
I
I'm
want
just
to say,
saying.
I want to address that. I want to address that. And then I want to go into the things that we continue to practice
Right.
in our communities that's really hurting us.
Yeah.
But I want to address the church first. Um, Churches in Nigeria, where are you? Where are you? Churches around the world, where are you?
Yeah.
You are watching the horrific things that's happening with children.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you? Our children are dying. Where are you?
Mm.
Our children are suffering. Where are you? What if
Mm-hmm.
God spoke about his children?
Mm.
Where are you? Where are all the churches in the world? You've been collecting money for so long. What are you doing with the money?
Mm.
There are children right now in the world that are suffering. There are people in the United States right now that don't have a job. Churches, where are you?
All right.
They don't have a job. You're telling them the government is going to give you this stimulus check. No, where are you? The give the congregation the stimulus check. Where are you? People think when you're sitting there on that bench and you're giving your money, your 10% day in and day out, who are you giving it to? You're giving it to God? Or are you giving it to man? Where are you? We need you. I'm going to challenge you.
All right.
We need you. We need you in Nigeria. We need you in Panama. We need you in Suriname, in Curacao. We need you everywhere.
Yes.
Where are you?
All right now.
Loretta?
Call them out.
Where are you?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
You see a few. And I'm going to give you credit for the things, for the churches that are doing great things.
Yeah, praise God.
We love you.
Yeah,
because that is what you're supposed to do. Not all churches are evil.
No.
Because it's what you do. It's not what you're saying. Come on now.
Yeah, that's real talk. That is real talk. And I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the concerns I have is even in our communities now with COVID-19, and people are losing jobs and permanently losing jobs, the churches, the faith communities are going to have to step up. And if that means, pastors, you're going to have to give half of your income to God's people, you got to get ready to do it, because God will take care of you. I was ordained by the Kingdom International. And one of the things I wanted to say about KIA is that it's Kingdom International Assemblies is a faith-based organization that goes out and they work on the ground. And I think this is where the loss is, the faith communities working on the ground. I appreciate having the once a week food drive. That's wonderful. And that you're giving clothes away once a week. But people are hurting and they need to hear from you. Yes. Not just online for your service. Yes. But you need to figure out how you're going to get to people that maybe can't get online, that need a word, that need an understanding. Yes. God's people are hurting. Yes. And you're not doing, it's not that you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. Yes. I'm saying you just not. I wake up every day, I go, Father God, what else can I do? Because I know I'm not doing enough. Yeah. But what can I do? Right. You know, so he gives us our tasks, our responsibilities, and our obligations, and we have to step out and do it in that faith and know that God's people are all people, not some of them, all of them. Yeah. And you're going to have to reach out. You're going to have to step up. Yes. Yes. That's it. You got to step up. Yes. And I would like for them to step up right now for the young people. Pray for the young people in Nigeria and around the world. I've had so many young people call me yesterday because I have youth ambassadors in that region. And they said, Mom, help us. We don't know what to do. Wow. Mom, we need you. Tell the world what we are going through here. And I just want to say to my young people in Nigeria that the world knows. I don't have to tell them. Trust me, all these governments around the world, they know what you're going through. They just don't give a damn. And what we have to do, my people of African descent and the world, because this is about humanity. This is not about color. This is not about ethnicity. This is about humanity. How can you shoot a child at close range? You have to be evil to do something like that, only because you're protesting for better opportunity in their country. It's evil for a president to do something like that. One of the things I would even want to say about that is the fact that Loretta, whenever someone were to do something like that, they're forgetting that they have children. The day is coming. Yeah. You think you're rich? Yeah. You really think you're rich? You're not. You're just as poor
as you are in the mind.
Mm.
You might have the money, but your mind is poor.
And you're spiritually poor.
And you're spiritually poor in
Mm.
order to do something like that.
Yeah.
Be the man that God created you to be.
Mm-hmm.
That is to take your nation and turn it around and
Mm-hmm.
help your children, help God's children, I should say.
Yes.
Because these children are tired.
Yeah.
No jobs, no nothing. There are young ladies that are traveling outside of Nigeria, going to Lebanon, Italy, and all these places. And when they get there, they're being abused
Yeah.
physically, mentally, and as slave. Come
Yeah.
on now. We have to change that. But I want to mention some things and talk about some things, Loretta, about the mindset in
Mm.
the mindset of people of African descent. We have to wake up. And I'm going to show you something, my people, why we're still not awake. Let me show you this because I am still puzzled with this. And as you said, Loretta, it's only been 60 years, 62, 65 years that most African countries have received their independence. But 65 years is enough in order for you to realize that you have to rebuild your nation, not continue to oppress it based on how you was oppressed before by your colonializers.
But
So
that's internal colonization.
exactly,
And
exactly.
that's, listen, what did
Go
Bob
ahead,
say?
go ahead.
Bob
Yes,
Marley said, free your mind of mental slavery.
yes,
That's internal colonization. And
yes.
you'd be
Talk
surprised how
about
many
that.
people
Talk
don't
about
know.
that, Loretta.
Well,
Talk about it.
so internal colonization is when you absorb what the colonizer has done to you, and it's so embedded in you that it activates itself automatically, that you're not aware that you're doing these aspects that the dominant has subjected you to do. Example, African Americans normally identify each other through colorisms. Oh, he light skinned. He light skinned with good hair. That's internal colonization. When the attributes that allow the dominant to control and subjugate you to aspects of oppression, you utilize to formulate an identity of others and yourself. That's internal colonization. So, what you have to do is you have to change your conversation. Your dialogue must be renegotiated around a language that the dominant has provided you. Now,
Yes.
I will always speak English because that is the dominant's language that has given me the English. But I will have to be careful what words and terminologies I use because that will constantly put me in a perpetual state of mind discourse and
Mm-hmm.
dislocation.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, free
Yes.
your mind.
Free your mind. That is exactly right. And when I was just researching, and I came across these pictures, uh, and then I came across these pictures, and I came across these pictures, and here we go. So now, why are we still doing this?
Because the dominant has created structuralizations of classism that when we perpetuate what the dominant has already showed us to be truth, we buy into that truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. If the dominant does it, it is good. Therefore, I shall do it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because it says here there are a number of reasons why barristers still wear wigs. The
Hmm.
most accepted is that it brings a sense of formality and solemnity and
Yes,
uh-huh,
to the
to,
proceedings.
to
Yes.
proceedings. In other words, it elevates you.
Yes, it brings a class, a
It brings a
status.
class to you.
Yes.
But the problem is that I want to tell my African brothers and sisters, you don't need a wig. You don't need a wig to feel empowered.
Mm.
You don't need a wig in order to feel elevated. God
Mm,
created you already elevated. God
mm,
already created you powerful. Don't allow a wig to define you. Don't
mm.
allow objects to define you. Don't allow a car, a house, these objects to elevate you. You are already elevated.
But
You
let's take it
are
farther than
already
that.
empowered.
Not only in Africa, but the diaspora,
The
because again,
diaspora is
the
all of us.
materialistic things
Yes,
makes me who I am. That
yes,
should make you who you are.
you.
Listen, I'm a poor old lady living in Harlem. Trust me, I'm worth $1 billion
Yes.
with my social security check.
So what I'm trying to say is this to my young people in the world. And I know when you look at this, you say, wow, I want to be just like that. No, God already empowered you. You don't need the material things.
Mm,
You were born empowered.
yes.
You were born with knowledge and understanding and wisdom. It was just taken away from you because they knew the power that you were born with. That you
Yes.
execute the things that you already have.
Mm,
And be able to do the things that they have done to you. So what's
yes.
happening to you now, my children in Nigeria and around the world, is the fact that you are beginning to wake up. You were
Mm,
asleep. Now you are waking up. Something is happening within you. It's stirring you up, saying, this is not right.
mm-hmm,
There's
mm-hmm,
something wrong here.
mm-hmm,
So when God now is waking you back up, you have to go out there. You have
mm-hmm.
to tell the world that there's something wrong and we're no longer going to tolerate it.
All right.
We, the people of the African diaspora, whether you
Yes.
are from the continent or whether you were taken by force, we have to now come and support you and give you the knowledge and the wisdom that's missing. We have to all put it together, but all of us need to work together.
Exactly. And
We
that
need
is what,
to
and
connect.
that's the aspects of the dominant. Now, what is interesting in Jamaica, in Rasta, what is the dominant? Babylon. That
That's
is
yeah,
the persons in power that will subjugate you and will not allow you truth,
yes,
your truth to be spoken.
that's right.
And that's what's happening even in Nigeria right now. Young
Mhm.
people have a truth that they do not want to be spoken. And because of removing them from their truth, they will remove them from life itself. But
Yes,
there's one thing about truth: you cannot stop it, you cannot deny it.
yes, I agree. I agree. I am looking for something here
Hmm.
that was written, and we're going to go into closing right now.
Okay.
That was written by one of the young men in Nigeria yesterday. Well, he didn't write it as he was dying. He passed away. I
Oh.
want to read this before we go.
Hmm.
He was shot, and he said, tell my mother I was unarmed. Tell my father I had the flag in my hands when I was shot. Tell the unborn generation that I died uh, singing the national anthem. Tell the cowards who shot me that my spirit lives on in the life of every good Nigerian youth. Tell the government that they shot my body, but not my spirit.
So, yeah, yeah.
Tell the world I died for freedom, like many good people before me. I regret nothing, for I have done what my fathers, mothers, uncles, and aunts couldn't do out of fear. Let God judge me. I am only sorry for the pain of leaving you this early.
Mm.
My prince will forever remain in the sands of history, for I have done my time based on the path I chose freely and willingly. Now that my torment in Nigeria is over, please lay me to rest on Mother Earth, where you all will join me in due time. take my voice and hand it over to the next good youth, whom I hope by God's Almighty grace will benefit a better nation. For I know that freedom coming, yes, freedom is coming. And I want to leave this with the audience today. And when I read this is not just from that young man. This is from many, many Africans around the world. And when I say Africans, this is what I mean. Afro-Panamanian, African Americans, whatever name they have given us, you're African. And always remember that you are. I want to thank everyone for watching this show. And Loretta, I would like to leave this word with you. I would like you, I love you, my darling.
Oh, you know I got my love for you.
And I want you to address our audience, your final words, and then we will leave in a minute.
Stay in peace and stay in confidence. Stay in prayer, but stay. Stand for something. Otherwise, you will fall for anything.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And thank you all for watching Love, Truth, and Peace. This is Dr. Melida Harris Barrow. There's so many. Oh, before I go, let me go back because there's people here that's writing, and I want everyone to see what they're saying. Melissa, thank you for watching us. She's been writing here. Trust, amen. She says, work together as a group. Very good. Dr. M, we are born empowered. That's good. That's good. She's listening. She's listening. Thank you once again. This is Love, Truth, and Peace. And thank you, my darling sister. You know we're working together.
Oh, you know that.
The chamber, and I'm coming out with one. So, boy, we have a lot. A lot of work to do, my God. But you know what? It's needed. It's needed. Thank you, and may God bless all of you.
Blessings to all.